This is Stephanie Loop, and I apologize for our late start this morning. As y'all know, this link had to get changed, and so we had to switch over Zoom accounts. Um, we're going to go through this March monthly call, and we will, as usual, get these slides and the recording posted for you to review afterwards. So we're going to talk a little bit today about the 2023 and 2024 equipment grant reminders. We're going to talk about health inspections, seamless summer option, SFSP, memos, upcoming trainings, upcoming events, and resources. So first, let's take a look at our 2023 and 2024 equipment grants. We are in our third allocation of our 2023 equipment grant. Notification emails were sent out on December 17th of 2024. If you are still pending, you can go ahead and please, as soon as possible, send those purchase orders or invoices for each piece of equipment awarded by each site. Send those over to Stacy Griffin. So stacy.griffin@la.gov, send those to her. She's looking for them. And then after that, you need to complete your online request for funding in our CNP website by March 17th of 2025. Then we simultaneously have our 2024 equipment grant going on. So again, you'll email your purchase order or invoice for each piece of equipment awarded by site to Stacy Griffin. And those online requests for funding are due by June 9th of 2025. And I'm sure y'all all feel like me that this year is just flying by and June will be here very, very quickly. You can call or email with questions if you're uncertain if your documents came through or if your reimbursement was processed. We can help y'all through that process. Some important notes: don't begin procurement activities or purchase equipment prior to receiving a notification of award. You must obligate award funds within 6 months of your award notification. And again, I know time goes really, really quickly. We know how busy you all are, so try to stay cognizant of that timeline. And then your purchase order or invoice is required as proof of obligating funds in order for you to apply for reimbursement. Again, Stacy Griffin is your contact for equipment grants. She's doing a great job running that grant, and she can provide any technical assistance that you may need. I know equipment grants for 2025 are coming up. They'll be here soon. So be thinking already if you have school sites that haven't ever been awarded an equipment grant. That's something to start thinking ahead on. Okay, health inspection reminders. The School Food Authority is to request at least 2 food safety inspections from their local sanitarian office and document those efforts. So we know sometimes there'll be issues in getting a sanitarian to come out. So make sure that you've got in writing, in emails, some kind of documentation that you have requested those 2 food safety inspections. Alternatively, you can just have your 2 food safety inspections that have occurred. Failure to obtain those 2 mandatory food safety inspections, we will be looking for documentation to show that an attempt was made, and you should, again, document those requests in writing. If y'all remember, within our CNP website, we have this health inspection portion of the website where you can document the dates that you've received your health inspections. And as a reminder, your March claim, and when you submit your March claim for reimbursement, a reminder is going to appear prior to submitting the claim, asking you if there's any current health inspections that you need to report. This is just a reminder. And then your April claim for reimbursement you won't be allowed to submit that until you've completed your health inspection reporting. So make sure that you start collecting those and get ready to input those dates into our state system. Okay, let's talk a little bit about summer. So this summer is going to look a little bit different than prior year summers in that we have officially moved the Summer Food Service Program, the SFSP summer program, over to the community branch of our division. So Toya Porter is the coordinator for the summer food service program, and that is all under David Thibodeau, who is the director for community programs. So Toya is your contact if you're working with the summer food service program. Last year, we had some school staff supporting the summer food service program. This year, it's going to be more primarily the community team that's going to be supporting SFSP. However, we also have the seamless summer option. The seamless summer option remains under NSLP. This is your routine contacts for your NSLP team members. The seamless summer option does fall under Misty's purview, Misty and Trandra. And so if you have any questions about SSO, you can use your regular routes of communication and you can get in touch with team members and they can talk you through that. Here's some reminders for SSO. Your SSO application process, you do submit annually through the online C&P website. Um, it is under the Green School Food Service tab under the subheading Seamless Waiver. One application must be completed for each SSO participating site. When at all possible, all facility applications should be submitted together in one single application submission. We understand sometimes you can't do that, but if it is possible, please try to submit them together. And then if you intend to offer SSO beyond June 30th, so y'all know June 30th is the end of our official school year in terms of the fiscal year that we operate on. So if you want to operate beyond that, you're going to have to submit an entirely new application for participation in NSLP. So your Schedule A, your income and expense, your collection procedures, your requirements, all of that is going to have to be submitted prior to submitting your SSO for the month of July. We are already working on changes to the NSLP application so that it'll be ready to launch as early as possible. So reimbursement for SSO meals, as a reminder, it is the same as NSLP. So for all of your sites that normally receive additional reimbursement because of severe need breakfast or your menu certification, which we call performance-based reimbursement, those rates do continue through SSO. Sponsors participating in the SSO in the month of May and or June will receive the current school year reimbursements. Again, July is a new fiscal year or a new school year, and so those reimbursement rates will look different. And then sponsors participating in SSO in the month of July and or August will receive the new school year reimbursements. In terms of monitoring of SSO sites, you are required to review each SSO site at least once during its operation. The SFA must review the site's compliance with meal counting, claiming, menu planning, and food safety requirements. This is your opportunity to make sure that if that location is audited in a review, that everything looks good, everything is functioning exactly like it should be. Honestly, I would treat it as if it was being given a summer review. And then documentation of meals. Schools must keep production records and menu records for the meals they produce, which includes SSO. So keep in mind that the SSO is an extension of the NSLP and school breakfast program offered during the school year. So all the same requirements that apply during the school year do also apply during the summer, including all of your vegetable subgroups, etc. So our SSO meal pattern, unlike in the SFSP, where SFA sponsors are provided flexibility on use of the meal pattern. In SFSP, you can choose to use the school meal pattern or the SFSP meal pattern, but in SSO, you must continue to offer menus that are in compliance with the current NSLP or SBB meal pattern requirements. So generally speaking, most sponsors continue to offer the same menus that they are providing during the regular school year. Offer versus serve is still required for high school grades for lunch in SSO. However, it is optional for all other grade levels at lunch and is optional for all grade levels at breakfast. Unlike the SFSP, Where there's significant mealtime flexibilities, there really are designated meal period timeframes for SSO sites. 7 CFR 220.2b states that meal service must occur in the morning hours. For breakfast, the meal should be served at or close to the beginning of the child's day at school. And then for lunch, meal service must occur between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. So just a reminder, these same requirements apply to your SSO operations. Claims for reimbursement are filed through the C&P website, as done throughout the usual academic school year. The same claiming process is done under the green School Food Service tab, and you can access the claims feature that you normally use for NSLP or SBP. If you've done SSO before, you know that there's a shaded green section that shows your claim under your claim summary. So that's a trigger for you to note that, if something wasn't showing up in light green on your claim, then something is wrong and you hadn't submitted an application for that location. And just like we do in SFSP, we do need these applications to come in prior to meal service operations. All right, let's talk a little bit about the summer food service program. We've got our SFSP timelines. It's very, very similar to last year. Um, we have our summer feeding plan survey currently up. This lets us know at the state agency where you are planning to serve meals this summer. This helps ensure that, according to regulations, that school food authorities are given priority with sites. So there is a hierarchy with sites, and school food authorities are given first preference for the sites that they want to operate. So we need those summer feeding plan surveys in. That's under the purple tab. We need those in by March 17th. The next step is we are looking for sponsor and congregate site applications by March 31st. So we know that you may be looking at non-congregate, you may still be working out those details, but again, according to regs, congregate sites take precedence over non-congregate sites. So we are looking to have a sponsor app and congregate site applications in by March 31st, if at all possible. And then if you've done non-congregate before, or if you haven't, there is a non-congregate site request process also in the purple tab of your summer food service program web portion of the website, where you can submit locations that you want to operate as non-congregate sites. This will trigger us to look and make sure that there's not going to be duplication of services in that area, and it will trigger us to set up a site location, a non-congregate specifically site location for you if it is eligible for non-congregate feeding. And then as a reminder, our final non-congregate and other site applications are due by May 31st and 14 days or greater before operations. So this is both May 31st and 14 days before operations. I'm sure you can imagine that we have a lot of sites that come in, kind of all at once, and we process them as quickly as possible. However, it's impossible. It is not possible for us to approve everyone the same day that they submit or even a week before they submit. We really need that 14 days in addition to it being by May 31st in order to get those processed for you. Okay, so this is where you go on the website to finish that summer food service survey that is due next Monday. So we've got congregate feeding and non-congregate feeding. Congregate feeding is our traditional serving method where children gather together in a central location and eat on site. And then our non-congregate feeding are where meals are distributed or delivered, and children are allowed to take them off site, eat them at home. This is going to show you some clips on how to actually request a site, and it can be congregate or non-congregate. You're going to log in, you're going to select applications from that left-hand column menu, and then select request a site. So there are some different requirements regarding monitoring for new versus experienced sites. A new site is one that did not participate in the prior year. It's an experienced site. It could be an experienced site that's proposing to operate a non-congregate meal service for the first time. So really the mode of operation is changing. And then a new site could also be as determined by the state agency, a site which has experienced significant staff turnover from the prior year. Whereas an experienced site is as determined by the state agency, they've successfully participated in the program in the prior year. There may be some situations where we have hybrid sites, and we are allowed to approve a site to operate as a hybrid site that's going to provide a combination of congregate and non-congregate meals. The proposed site must have applicable site approval requirements that are found at 7 CFR 2256H1, H2, and H3, and ensure that non-congregate meal service will be conducted only when the site is not providing a congregate meal service. So what we've seen in previous summers are maybe a school has a program going on for 4 days a week. Maybe it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then either Thursday evening as children are leaving or Friday when there's nothing in session, a 3-day meal box may go home for those children to cover those weekend meals. So that is considered a hybrid site. It will look like two separate site applications in our system, one congregate, one non-congregate, with separate calendars so that we can adequately track the number of meals served in each model. But this is a possibility and it is something that we've seen in prior years. So which models of non-congregate meal service are allowed? We've got home delivery, we've got meal pickup or grab and go. We've got multi-day issuance of both. And for meal pickup, we do allow parent guardian meal pickup. But as a reminder, a parent or guardian is someone who truly is um, responsible for or in charge of that child on a daily basis. It's not a daycare. It's not a family daycare home. It's not a neighbor that picks up for all the children in the neighborhood. This is really someone that has a tie to this child, maybe an older sibling, a grandparent, a parent. It's somebody that's charged with caring for that child. As a reminder, food safety, of course, is essential for all meal service models. Sanitarians need to be informed of your intention to provide non-congregate meal service and the model. They will take a look at the model that you're proposing to ensure that it's meeting all state and local food safety requirements. So if you haven't yet, I would encourage you to start reaching out to sanitarians about any of your sites that you know are going to need health inspections for this summer. Other SFSP reminders, offer versus serve is only going to be allowed for SFAs operating congregate meal service. We do not allow offer versus serve in non-congregate meal service. Meals served away from approved locations will be disallowed without prior state agency approval. So what that means is you will need to submit a field trip JOT form to us if you're going to be taking kids away from the site location for a meal. We do need to know about that before it happens. All non-congregate SFSP operations must have prior state agency approval. If sites are approved as congregate feeding sites, all meals must be served and consumed on site in a supervised setting. So if you start noticing that kids are taking their food and going, unfortunately, we can't allow that and we can't allow reimbursement for those meals. They must be aware that they have to stay and eat the meal on site. And then for SFSP, remember that you must serve breakfast at the beginning of the day and before lunch or supper, and a minimum of 1 hour must elapse between the end of one meal service and the beginning of the next meal service. All right, let's go into some of the memos that have come out recently. Here we've got a list. So we've got an SFA survey on supply chain disruptions and student participation survey. So this is a survey being done by FNS about obviously supply chain disruptions. And it's For all school food authorities that operate child nutrition programs. The survey was emailed out on Monday, January 27th. You should have received an email from no reply at gmailserver.com. And SFAs were asked to complete the survey by yesterday, so March 10th. So hopefully you've done that. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten a notification on if it's closed or not. But if you haven't done it, you may want to check and just see if you can still submit it. Our January 2025 SNAP and TANF files were loaded into eScholar. So these are the public and non-public batch numbers for each of those. As always, Jane in our AAA division is a great help. Then we also have our Medicaid free and Medicaid reduced lunch files that were uploaded for public and non-public. All right, so we'll talk just a tiny bit about state contracts and child nutrition programs. We did release a memo. I would encourage you to read it if you haven't. It's SFS 25037, Use of State Contracts and Child Nutrition Programs. So federal child nutrition programs, all of the requirements pertain whether you're using state contracts or you're going out to bid yourself. So in other words, state contracts must meet all federal requirements in terms of contracts. You are still required to conduct competitive procurement in accordance with 2 CFR Part 200.318 through 326, including all applicable program regulations and guidance. Specifically, you've got to make sure that costs paid from the nonprofit school food service account are necessary, reasonable, allocable, and otherwise allowable per 2 CFR 200.403, and make sure that it adheres to all applicable cost principles in 2 CFR 200 subpart E. You have to make sure that procurements are conducted in a manner maximizing full and open competition consistent with federal procurement standards in 2 CFR Part 200.318 through 326 and in applicable program regulations. And I think maybe perhaps the most important part of this is we have a memo linked, and once we get these slides posted, you'll be able to read this memo if you haven't before. But USDA had referred us to USDA memo SP 05/2017, which states that state contracts can only be considered as one source when evaluating quotes, bids, and proposals. So state contracts may not be used as a means to circumvent free and open competition. It's just one of your bids that you're looking at. So unfortunately, the state contracts that we have in place can't be used as a default procurement. There still must be a competitive procurement process in place to ensure that the state contract is meets all requirements and is the best, gives you the best prices for your products and services. A memo came out. It was a request for information on grain-based desserts and high-protein yogurt crediting in child nutrition programs. As a reminder, this is a really good way to have your voice heard and to let USDA know what your thoughts are when they're making changes to programs. We've got the Buy American accommodation process for school year 25-26. So y'all know we have some big changes to Buy American. And I believe we have a training possibly next week. It's coming up soon on this accommodation process. So hopefully by our state update in April, we'll have additional information. However, what we do know now because of this memo is that there is going to be an accommodation process that's going to give us at the state agency the ability to approve temporary relief for school food authorities that demonstrate they cannot meet the threshold for non-domestic food purchases. It's going to streamline this streamlined accommodation process is going to allow SFAs to exceed that 10% threshold while making progress towards coming into a compliance with the Buy American threshold requirement. I think USDA has heard state directors from all over the country saying that this is going to be really challenging. SFAs may not even have they've not been tracking, they may not have a concept of what percent threshold they're at right now, and they may need a little bit of grace and time to figure out where they are so they can figure out what changes they need to make. So we believe this is coming out of all of that. So if you are seeking a temporary accommodation from the Buy American threshold requirement, using the streamlined process for 25-26, you can complete and submit a state agency to the state agency, the SFA accommodation plan for school year 25-26 that was attached to this memo. So you can go into our memos, pull open SFS 25039 and see the plan that's included there. And we may have more information about filling that out at our state update. This was in regards to the corrected links. There was an issue with our regular Zoom account, and we had to use another Zoom account for this call. There was a rescission on guidance promoting access to voting through the CMP. So FNS rescinded that guidance because of President Trump's Executive Order 14148, which revoked the executive order that caused the initial guidance. We have our dates again here. Summer feeding plan due March 17th. Sponsor applications due March 31st. Trying to see where April 28th. That's for P&Ps. I would encourage you to look at the chart, not the dates on the left. And then site applications via revision are due by May 31st and greater than 14 days prior to operation. Here's our upcoming trainings. We have today's call again. So sorry that we started a little bit late today. We've got CEP population coming up on March 18th. And then we've got our in-person state update on April 2nd. This will be at Pennington. So please go ahead and register on the Louisiana Fit Kids website. We're so thankful for their partnership and that they're going to be hosting us for another in-person state update. We've got the agenda ready to go for that. It should be a good day. In May, we've got our monthly call. We've got an in-person training for residential childcare institutions. We're going to have it here on site on May 13th to kind of talk through some of the similarities and differences that our CCIs face in operating their child nutrition programs. We're going to talk about CEP elections on May 20th. June, we've got our monthly call, and we've got an average meal cost and paid lunch equity training going on in June. We do have some virtual manager trainings coming up on Zoom. We've got on June 24th and 25th, it'll be 8 to 4:30. On June 26th, 8:30 to noon, and then the assessment will be that afternoon from 1:30 to 4. So participants must have their own email addresses in order to attend this course. They must have a computer and reliable internet service at the training location. The computer needs to have audio and video capability so that they can see, hear, and participate in the training. That's really important. The assessment's going to be computerized, and they will need to have a proctor. So either the director or a designee that can proctor that exam. Some SFAs decide to host these assessments in a computer lab on site and have, all their potential managers on site together to participate together. Again, that can be you can register for that, or you can register your potential managers on the Louisiana Fit Kids website. We've got another one at the end of July, and it kind of follows the same format. This one is going to be in person. The cost will be $75. It'll be at Pennington. For this, they need their own email. They will need to bring a laptop computer or tablet or iPad for the quiz or the assessment, because that assessment will be computerized. And then Pennington or Department of Ed personnel will be proctoring that. That can also be registered for on Louisiana Fit Kids. When you're registering on Louisiana Fit Kids for a training that has a cost associated, you can pay online with a credit card. Make sure to choose event registration. This is going to make sure that you are paying for the correct registration. When you click event registration, make sure to choose the correct event. You can see on this one, it says SFS State Update, April 2nd, 2025. School Lunch Week is coming up next week. Louisiana School Lunch Week, lucky to be in child nutrition. If you are participating and you take any pictures or want to show off what you're doing at your schools, please send us pictures. USDA also loves to see what you have going on locally in your schools. We've got our HMI awards. We are so proud of all of you that have applied and been awarded already. The HMI recognition awards, they recognize and share best practices from SFAs who made operational changes to improve their nutritional quality of their school meals, as well as SFAs who engage students and families in nutrition education and in the planning and preparation of nutritious school meals. There is a website dedicated to HMI. Applications are going to close this summer on June 30th. SFAs that meet their recognition award criteria will receive national and local recognition, as well as an awardee toolkit that includes digital assets and travel stipends to attend the National Healthy Meal Summit. Last year, it was in Las Vegas, and I heard it was a lot of fun. If you need any help, if you think that you might be eligible for one of the awards and you need help, we do have some contacts that are helping SFAs, specifically rural SFAs, in applying. So reach out to us if you have questions and we can connect you with someone that may be able to help. From the School Nutrition Association, the School Nutrition Express is a summary of the latest association and school nutrition news that goes to your email account every Wednesday. Tuesday morning is SNA's policy and awareness newsletter. Every Tuesday, this newsletter provides members with up-to-date federal legislative news as well as current state legislative activity. We've got our SNA Smart Brief, published by editors of Smart Brief on behalf of SNA. Each weekday, you can receive a daily snapshot of school nutrition news from leading news sources from across the country, and you can sign up for those newsletters at the link on that slide. I'm not sure how familiar everyone is with FRAC, the Food Research and Action Center, but they're big players in child nutrition in terms of data analysis and lobbying. FRAC also has weekly news digests where they cover a wide range of things. They do, like I said, a lot of research. They've got action alerts. They've got Meals Matter, school meals, after school and summer newsletter, and then a food over fear newsletter. And below, we've got a link to subscribe to FRAC e-news. All right. We made it through the slides. We've got about 10 minutes left. If anyone has questions, they can put it up in the chat and I will see what I can get to. Also of note, there is a limit to the in-person manager training. Because of the room size, we can only accept 40 people. So obviously make sure that they want to attend, but if you've got people, then you may want to go ahead and register them if you're sure that they are interested in taking that in-person training. All right, what other questions do y'all have today? I will say the Local Foods for Schools grant, currently right now we received notice on last Friday that the Local Food for School, the new iteration of the grant, it doesn't look like it's going to happen at this time. I believe MAC has pretty much wrapped up the current grant that we had, but right now I wouldn't plan that into your budgeting for next year, the Local Food for School funding. Our legislative session is starting on April 14th. Any bills that come up that are related to child nutrition, we can share that information with you all, of course, just in terms of informational purposes only. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining. We will get these slides and recording over to Kathy and Pennington as soon as we can. We really, really hope that you're all going to be able to come on April 2nd to our state update. It's always so good when we can get together, share ideas and best practices, answer questions, and just, celebrate the work that all of you are doing. Hope you all had a great Mardi Gras break, and we will talk to you soon.